This is a video demonstration of how to regrease an Astro-Physics German equatorial mount. The process can be accomplished while the mount is attached to the pier, but for purposes of this demonstration, mine is set up in my garage on a stable surface. There are a few things that you're going to need to do the project. The first is a set of hex wrenches to remove the screws. The next is a toothbrush to clean the worm and the worm wheel. Next, you'll need some patches or pieces of cotton cloth to wipe the grease off. This stack of patches is something that I use for cleaning my rifles and my handguns, and they can be obtained at just about any sporting goods store. But a t-shirt will do as well, and you can cut it up as needed. The next thing you'll need is the aeroshell grease. This can be obtained from Amazon.com. There are two size options. This is the larger size and will likely last me a lifetime. The next thing you'll need is an artist medium bristle brush. I bought mine at Hobby Lobby. And then a little bit of duct tape to hold it in place. The first thing you'll need to do is remove the gearbox. You can remove either the RA or the declination. It doesn't really matter which one you do first. On my mount, there are 5 hex head screws that need to be removed in order to remove the gearbox. The gearbox should pull out easily and expose the worm and the old grease. You can lay the gearbox on a flat surface. I chose to lay mine on the mount and secure it with a piece of duct tape. As you can see, the worm is turning. What I've done is I've applied power to the mount. I use the hand paddle to do a move at a rate of 64x. And once the worm was turning, I removed the keypad from the mount, and the worm will continue to turn indefinitely. And now I can take the toothbrush as the worm is turning and just allow the toothbrush to rest on the worm and remove the old grease. I'll just wipe the toothbrush on the cotton cloth. And you can see it does a really nice job of removing the grease from the worm. Just continue to hold it on the worm until you've completely cleaned it. You've gotten all the grease out of the grooves. And then I'll just take this cotton cloth and hold it to remove any excess that might still be on the worm. It really doesn't take that long to get the entire thing clean. Once you've completed the worm, you'll need to clean the worm wheel. You can see the excess grease on this one, and we'll use a similar process that we used to clean the worm. It will need to be cleaned in sections and rotated by hand, as I'm doing now, each time you finish an area. I'll take the toothbrush and clean from side to side in order to remove the old grease. This is going to be just a little bit more tedious process than cleaning the worm. It doesn't have to be completely clean, and Astro-Physics does not recommend using a solvent to clean up any excess. You can get most of it off with a cloth and the brush, and this is the only action that they recommend. You can see I'm just using the brush to clean up the excess. It'll be just a little bit of trial and error as you learn the best way to get the grease off of the worm wheel. Just a side-to-side motion takes off most of it. And as you turn it, you can pretty much see the clean area versus the area that still needs to be cleaned. Just a gentle swiping motion will take off most of the old grease. As you rotate the wheel, you can see where the old grease starts. Just right there along the edge is the old grease. Once again, I've connected the hand paddle and turned the mount on. I've got the movement set at a rate of 64, and I press south to activate the worm. And then I remove the keypad and allow the worm to continue to track, and it will continue to track indefinitely with the keypad removed and the power applied. At this point, we're going to apply the aeroshell. Just a little bit on the brush. As they used to say in the old Brill Cream advertisement, just a little dab will do ya. Continue to do this and apply it. Well, that didn't work out as well as I hoped. Just a little bit too much there. But you're pretty confident you've got it in all of the grooves. I'm just going to hold the brush on it and let it go across and clean it off so it's relatively smooth and not globbed up in any one place. And as you can see on this final shot, as it turns, it's pretty evenly applied all the way across the gear. And I think that'll be sufficient. The process of doing the worm wheel is a little bit more tedious because you're going to have to brush it on and turn the wheel and do each section individually. Again, I'm not putting a lot on here because I don't want to gum it up. I'm putting just enough on to get it down into the grooves, to the gear grooves, so that that's probably a little bit too much right in there. Of course, I can always go this direction and get rid of some of that. And then you're going to have to turn it. Kind of keep an eye on where you last put it on. It's right in there. Once again, I'll go this direction and try to put just a little bit down in there. Without going crazy. And you'll continue this process the full 360 degrees. Okay, the next critical part is reassembly. You can see I've got my screws lined up here along with the two different hex head wrenches that I will need. and we'll just reassemble this. Put it in place. Take the first of the screws and insert it. Now once this is complete, the worm gear will have to be remeshed, and that'll be done on another video, because the mount will have to actually be on the pier with the telescope balanced and in place. There are 5 to go in, just like we took out 5. I'm not going to tighten them down completely until I have everything in place. And there are 2 different size wrenches to use. Snug them up just a little bit. Put in the final screw. And once again, your mount might be slightly different. This is a 2004 model.
I'd like to do one
And
last
that's thing is a test. Got the power applied after I've reassembled everything, and I'm just going to move the mount. Looks and sounds like everything is moving just fine. I've got it on a speed of 64. I'm going to bump it up to 600. Sounds like a normal Astro-Physics mount. Go ahead and bump it on up to 1200. Sounds good.